What's good, Internet? My name is attackslug, and welcome to my Monday Night Raw reactions for the week of July the 25th, 2016. It's a new era, new intro, new roster, new everything. As always, let me know what you thought down in the comments below, and I will get to my long, rambling thoughts on this episode of Monday Night Raw. Yes, we are on the first Raw post-brand split. This is the start of the new era, new feel, new set. The announce booth is up by the stage again. This has happened before. We have Cole. We have Byron Saxton, or as they had him on Battleground, Byron Sexton. And we have Corey Graves as your announce team. So, first and foremost, just to get this right out of the way, this is going to make 2K17 seem super outdated, and that game isn't even out yet. And for those of you who are holding out hope for some brand split set DLC, let me remind you, July 13th, 2015 was the debut of Sasha Banks, Charlotte, and Becky Lynch, who never made it into 2K16, so don't get your hopes up. And on a side note, as a WWE 2K16 YouTuber, and as someone who knows, soon, very soon, they will be flying out all the other super huge 2K16 YouTubers to go play 2K17 early. How much do you want to bet not one single solitary motherfucker is going to ask, hey, where's the brand split DLC? I guarantee you, I can almost guarantee you, that no one is going to ask that question. Because guess what? It's probably not going to be in there. Guess what? You're probably going to have to wait until 2K18 happens fucking next year. Anyway, let's get to Raw. As you can tell, I am worked up this morning. We start Raw with Mick Foley and Stephanie McMahon just shitting all over Roman Reigns. We're off to a great start here. And we bring out the whole Raw roster. There are red ropes on Raw. Fantastic. I expect tonight to see blue ropes on SmackDown. Roman Reigns, loser. Guess what? So, for weeks and weeks and weeks, I've been saying that, hey, either, you know, the most logical way is to have some kind of a screwjob finish at Battleground and say, hey, what? 2 world titles. Your only other option is to literally invent a world title, and guess what? That is the road they're going down, which is inventing what they are calling the Universal Championship, which is honestly a terrible name. Don't like it. But we're going to have 2 Fatal 4-Ways tonight on Raw, and then the winner of those will fight in the main event on Raw, and the winner of that match will go on to fight Seth Rollins at SummerSlam as to be crowned as the first Universal Champion. And so we start off our first match with Cesaro versus Rusev versus Owens versus Finn Balor in a Fatal 4-Way to determine one of those 2 men who will be in the main event. This was a fantastic match. And obviously, as you can see here, Finn Balor won that match in his Raw debut, having a hell of a time, hell of a reaction for Finn Balor. That was awesome. Happy to see it. It made Raw feel fresh for the first time in fucking forever, and I'm glad to have that happen. And hopefully, moving forward, both these shows actually try to compete legitimately and give us a fresh feel for both shows. So, speaking of Raw debuts, the next match was Nia Jax versus some jobber, Britt Baker, who I've never seen before in my life. And it feels like that perhaps they will actually be giving Nia Jax the same push that they were going to give to Karma when she debuted, and unfortunately did not stick around because of all that stuff that happened with her. So just a very short squash match from Nia Jax here, and you know, that's a good start for her Raw debut. We will see where she fits in the women's picture in the coming weeks. So, next up, we had the Golden Truth backstage hunting for Pokemon and Pokemon Go. And look, I know wrestling typically does take things from pop culture here and there, but normally in wrestling, they're always so late to the party in trying to exploit whatever is popular, so it is unusual to see them actually getting it on the ball with Pokemon Go, and it just kind of becomes a ongoing thing through the night with the Golden Truth trying to hunt for the Pokemons. Anyway, we have a video package for Brock Lesnar, who will be on Raw next week in Atlanta. So that to me says that perhaps they've made some kind of a finalized contract for Paul Heyman, who obviously is not on a contract right now, and they've managed to get that all hashed out, because honestly, you don't want Brock Lesnar by himself next week with no Paul Heyman trying to talk. That would be a bad idea. Anyway, we move on to our next Fatal 4-Way, which is Chris Jericho versus Sheamus versus Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns, who the crowd is just still shitting all over, which is fantastic. I will say here, between your two Fatal 4-Ways, they both had the same dive to the outside spot. Like, the guys who had these matches kind of laid out, you know, before the show starts, like, seriously, don't have the exact same spot in both matches almost back-to-back. That's just poor booking, all I'm saying. Anyway, notable in this match, they finally kind of acknowledge that, hey, these fans are chanting the Olay chant at Sami Zayn, which is funny because it feels like the entire reason that they brought up and invented the Matadors was to have them do the Olay chant so they wouldn't do it for Sami Zayn. And now they're like, you know what? He's over. Fuck it. Let the fans do the Olay chant for Sami Zayn. So the end of this match was like Roman Reigns spamming his fucking signature. He was like spamming the Superman punch like he had a fucking Game Genie or a Game Shark action replay. Just spamming finishers like a maniac, and wins this match, pins Chris Jericho, and moves on to the main event. Next up, we have The New Day celebrating 337 days as your WWE Tag Team Champions. And they say, hey, you can go pre-order our cereal at FYE. It's like $13. They have an amazing video package. They bring out an honorary member, obviously a plant, an honorary member of the New Day, but then they get interrupted by the club, and that just is kind of the whole point of that segment was to establish who your new guy that the New Day is going to feud with, your new tag team for that. So after this whole thing, we have Mr. Irrelevant, Curtis Axel, and as someone who doesn't watch football, the announcers thankfully explained to me that Mr. Irrelevant was the guy who gets drafted last in the NFL draft. Now, I know they want to make their draft stuff seem like a real sports draft. They want to give us impression that was a real draft based on talent or skill or whatever other criteria you have a draft based on. However, two problems with that. Number one, if you were having a real draft, you would draft the fucking champion first. Seriously. Raw gets the first pick and doesn't draft your champion, Dean Ambrose, come the fuck on. Number two, in a real draft, based on real ability in whatever sport you are in, there is no fucking planet that would draft Mojo Rawley before Shinsuke Nakamura. Come on. Seriously. I can't, take it seriously in a kayfabe sense that was a real draft. So, stop with that shit. Anyway, fuck this noise. That didn't happen. Anyway, Curtis Axel is here with his original theme music, which I guess means that the Social Outcasts are done. I have to wonder, will the Social Outcasts even be in 2K17? At what point did they form and they're already broken up? Are they even going to make it into that game? Anyway, we had a match here against Neville, and it is the return of Neville on Raw, and looking pretty good. And Curtis Axel pretty much gets squashed. The one thing I wanted to mention here is that your announced team, Michael Cole, is occasionally good, can occasionally get really invested emotionally in the product. Byron Saxton is the blandest dude on the planet, and I like Corey Graves, but I'd like to see more heel announcing from Corey Graves. Now, he doesn't have to be as obnoxious as JBL was, but just a little bit more heel announcing I would really appreciate. Because honestly, when you got all three guys just doing their generic announce thing, I don't have any real investment in what's going on in the ring. But I will say that Corey Graves certainly better at getting guys over than anybody else on that announced team right now. So, We go backstage. We have Darren Young and Bob Backlund, and they're, you know, mad about the loss last night, and there's more Pokemon Go stuff here with the Golden Truth, and it goes to a backstage thing, or interview with Dana and Charlotte and whatever else. But we move on to Sasha Banks versus Charlotte for the women's title, and I guess the biggest question here is, why now? Like, Sasha won his match. Amazing match. She won the belt on Raw. Now, I understand, in the first night of a new era, you want to do something to shake it up. And because you don't have a world title, because I guess they had Rusev in that Fatal 4-Way, and because you had the New Day not having a match tonight, it made the most sense to have the women's title change hands. And it's kind of just fast-forwarding what we already expected from SummerSlam, so now SummerSlam is going to be a rematch, but it still kind of felt like, why do it on Raw? Why now? Why waste that moment on Raw and not have it at SummerSlam? Anyway, super happy for Sasha Banks winning the women's title on Raw. So, we follow that up with Braun Strowman, who has hilarious theme music and a hilarious new haircut, literally fighting a jobber here on Raw that got interviewed by Byron before the match, which was weird. And still, that interview better than Kalisto had last week on the draft, doing his good lucha thing. God damn it. Woo! So obviously, Braun Strowman squashes this dude. His finish is a reverse choke slam. I like a whole lot. It is unique, no one does it, and it looks fucking devastating. So thumbs up for Braun Strowman on that, but we'll see how they handle him moving forward. Speaking of jobbers, we bring out Enzo and Cass to cut a promo, and here comes the Shining Stars to interrupt. Speaking of jobbers, here's your problem. You now have your brand split. You now have distinct rosters. You now have half the guys that you had before, so guess what? The Shining Stars are on Raw. Now, this match here is pretty short, and it gets interrupted by the fact that we have, again, the ongoing Pokemon Go hunt by the Golden Truth comes through the ring to hunt for those goddamn Pokemon, and that fucked up the match, and Enzo and Cass win that match. So, your main event of the evening. It is Finn Balor. It is Roman Reigns. It is, you know, a very adequate TV match that has Roman Reigns getting pinned clean for the second time in 2 nights. Holy shit. Is the Roman Reigns push finally over? Is the beginning of a Roman Reigns heel turn finally here? Who knows? We'll find out. But that means that your main event for SummerSlam, or one of the main events for SummerSlam, is for the Universal Championship. It is Seth Rollins, Finn Balor. That should be a hell of a match. Now we get a post-match interview here with Roman Reigns. He's like, he better go beat Rollins. I want that first shot. Blah, 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 blah. So, by the end of the summer, you might still see Roman Reigns as your Universal Champion, but you might not. So, that could be interesting. Anyway, this whole episode felt pretty fucking fresh. There was no Big Show anywhere in this episode, so I am once again optimistic about the direction if they can keep 2 distinct crews, if they can keep 2 shows feeling fresh every week. Just don't fall back on the Big Show and Kane. Please, please. That's all I'm asking. So, that being said, I'm attackslug. Let me know what you thought down in the comments below. And I'll see you next time, and every day for more videos right here on this channel. I'm excited, and I'm out.